When the first light of dawn touches the Serengeti, a roar rises through the mist. It marks the beginning of a story about power, instinct, and survival on a plain that never sleeps. From a distance, a deep roar rolls across the cool air. It is not only the sound of a predator, it is a signal of dominance, a declaration of territory that travels for miles. The African savannah is not only a hunting ground for lions. It is a complex society where each individual exists within a network of behavior shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Unlike all other cats, lions do not live alone. They are the most social members of the cat family, and that structure makes them symbols of cooperation and collective strength. A lion pride usually includes between 10 and 40 individuals. Its structure is not random. At the center are the females. Connected through generations of bloodlines, mothers, daughters, sisters, grandmothers, and granddaughters. They are the core of the pride, the keepers of memory and territory. Females rarely leave the land where they were born. Males. Once they reach maturity at about 3 years of age, must leave their natal pride to seek their own chance for dominance. This separation is not a tragedy. It is a biological rule that allows genes to spread and prevents inbreeding. Young males often form coalitions, usually with brothers or close relatives, to challenge for control of another pride. These alliances may last for several years until they are replaced by younger rivals. On the savannah, no reign is permanent. Only cycles of dominance repeat, like the rhythm of wet and dry seasons. Within a pride, responsibility centers on the females. They hunt, raise the cubs, and defend the territory when males are absent. Each night, as the temperature drops and mist covers the grass, the lionesses move silently in formation. One leads, two spread to the sides, and others close the circle behind. No sound is louder than their breathing. When prey appears, antelope, zebra, or buffalo, the formation becomes a single coordinated strike. The final rush is synchronized. One lion targets the flank, another grips the throat. The hunt ends within seconds. The success rate is about 30%, but for a species that depends entirely on meat, every success is a reward for patience. The cubs eat last. While adult males growl over their share, the females wait in order. This hierarchy is not about privilege. It maintains stability within the group. Every action, from feeding to movement, follows an invisible social code written deep in instinct. When a lioness gives birth, she separates from the pride and hides in a sheltered area of rocks or thick bushes. A newborn cub weighs less than 5 pounds, blind and fragile. For the first 2 weeks, the mother keeps them isolated to avoid detection by hyenas, leopards, or African eagles. Every few days, she moves the den, often a few hundred yards away, to erase her scent. At around 3 weeks old, the cubs begin to walk. Unsteady steps mark the start of their survival journey. By 8 weeks, the mother brings them back to the pride. That moment is their first encounter with the dominant males, the rulers who will later become either their protectors or their threats. Play is the training ground for lion cubs. Each pounce, fall, and tail flick is part of behavioral learning. Through play, they develop hunting skills, learn to judge distance, and practice hiding in grass. Adult females watch and guide them without vocal commands. This is collective learning, a process that makes lions some of the most organized hunters in nature. After about 3 years, males reach maturity and leave the pride. They often travel together, searching for new land. Lone males rarely survive. When they encounter another pride, confrontation may occur, ending in dominance or death. A successful coalition can control a pride for several years until another group challenges them, and the cycle begins again. Lions are strict carnivores. Their primary diet includes wildebeest, zebra, African buffalo, and sometimes giraffe or hare. A single adult male can consume up to 15% of its body weight in one meal, about 66 pounds of meat. However, successful hunts do not occur every day. When food is scarce, lions become expert scavengers. They steal carcasses from leopards or drive hyenas away from their kills. In nature, there is no concept of honor, only efficiency. Although lions represent strength, their survival faces a fragile reality. A century ago, Africa held more than 200,000 individuals. Today, fewer than 25,000 remain, a decline of almost 90%. The main causes are habitat loss from agricultural expansion, poaching, and conflict between humans and predators. Each year, hundreds are killed after attacks on livestock or by metal traps set unintentionally. Many regions that once supported prides now hold only footprints in the sand. Yet hope remains. Protected areas such as the Serengeti, Masai Mara, Kruger, and Okavango maintain stable populations. Tracking collars with GPS chips, infrared cameras, and anti-poaching programs monitor movements and behavior of individual lions in several communities. Local people have shifted from hunting to conservation after realizing that a living lion brings far greater ecological and economic value than a dead one. During the stillness of night, when the sound of insects spreads evenly across the plains, a male lion roars again. That sound is not only a territorial claim, it is proof that life here continues despite the changes around it. In the natural world, there are no kings and no gods. There is only an animal that has learned to live within its kind, sharing strength and responsibility to survive on the largest grassland on Earth. When the sun rises and golden light falls over the plains, each strand of a lion's mane reflects like metal at that moment. The Serengeti is more than a refuge for predators. It becomes evidence of the delicate balance between instinct and order. It is a society built on strength, strategy, and cooperation, existing in a place often believed to belong only to the solitary. The ocean surface appears calm, like a giant mirror reflecting the sky. Beneath that layer lies another world, where the only rule is survival. At a depth of several yards, sunlight still creates a dance of plankton and small fish. Just a short distance deeper, light fades and darkness becomes the realm of predators that never rest. Every second, millions of silent chases unfold. A single anchovy turns sharply as it senses the shadow of a hunter behind it. Above, schools of tuna slice through the water at speeds over 43 miles per hour. Each movement of the tail combines muscle, hydrodynamics, and precise control. Below the surface, there is no margin for error. One delay can instantly reverse the roles of hunter and prey. In the mid-ocean zone, where sunlight begins to weaken, organisms have evolved remarkable adaptations. Giant squids use pigment cells that can change color in an instant for camouflage and communication in darkness. Rays glide through the water like large wings, using currents to move without sound. Deeper still, bioluminescent species emit controlled light. Each pattern of glow acts as a lure, a trap, or a signal for mating. As the descent continues, the water becomes colder and quieter. Temperatures drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and pressure increases hundreds of times above surface levels. Microbes living around hydrothermal vents survive without sunlight by using chemical energy from sulfur and methane. They form the foundation of the food web in an environment of extreme pressure and heat. The ocean's energy flow functions like the heartbeat of the planet, from microscopic plankton to the blue whale. Every organism participates in an endless cycle. When sharks feed on a whale carcass, when anchovies consume plankton, or when plankton absorbs sunlight, each action maintains balance. If one level of this system disappears, the entire structure of life can collapse like glass. Ocean waves move not only with the wind, but also with the rhythm of Earth itself. Cold currents from polar regions flow toward the equator and mix with warm currents moving the other way. Together, they regulate global climate. Without these ocean currents, Earth's temperatures could vary by tens of degrees, and many green regions today would become arid. In this world, strength belongs not only to the fastest hunter, but to the species that calculates. The hammerhead shark moves in a zigzag pattern to locate prey using electroreceptors on both sides of its head. The sperm whale dives thousands of feet and releases pulses of sound that can travel more than 600 miles underwater. This sonar system is so precise that modern science is still decoding its mechanics. Orcas on the other hand, represent collective intelligence. They hunt in groups, assign roles, surround prey, and execute coordinated strikes. Intelligence. Equal to power is a key factor for survival beneath the sea. In several regions, predators have learned to observe humans. They follow fishing boats and exploit schools of fish driven upward by nets. Some dolphin groups use shells as tools, trapping small fish in clouds of sand. The ocean is not only a place of survival, it is the oldest classroom of evolution. However, no part of Earth changes as rapidly as the ocean. Over the past 70 years, average sea temperature has increased by more than 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. That small rise has melted millions of tons of ice. Altered salinity and slowed major currents. The chain reaction has reduced oxygen levels, triggered toxic algae blooms, and created dead zones. Where marine life cannot survive. Coral reefs, often called underwater rainforests, are losing color through mass bleaching. Although they cover only 0.1% of the ocean's surface, they provide habitat for more than a quarter of all marine species. These changes are not just scientific data, they are the background signals of a planet in flux. When fish migrate toward cooler waters, coastal communities lose their livelihoods. When acidification increases, the shells of marine organisms dissolve. The ocean, once the cradle of life, has now become the most accurate measure of Earth's health. Amid these changes, the ocean still demonstrates remarkable resilience. A bleached coral reef can recover if the water cools again. Whales once hunted to near extinction are returning to polar seas, producing songs that travel for hundreds of miles. Many international marine reserves have been established, from Antarctica to the Galapagos Islands and the Mediterranean Sea. Forming a global network of biological protection. Each grain of sand on the seafloor records the passage of time. Layers of sediment hold traces of climate, chemistry, and the rise and disappearance of countless species. If those layers could be read like pages, they would show that Earth has never stood still. It breathes, shifts, and renews itself even in the deepest darkness. When we look at the shimmering surface, reflecting the sky, we see more than the ocean. We see a part of ourselves within it. The water inside the human body once belonged to ancient seas millions of years ago. Every living organism carries in its blood a trace of salt from that original ocean. The boundary between existence and disappearance can be as thin as a single breath. The ocean does not need promises. It only needs time. Across billions of years, as Earth changes again and again, the sea continues to rise, to fall, and to tell the story of life, a story that has never stopped. Across the northern highlands of Tanzania, where the horizon curves with the shape of Earth, lies a vast depression, the remains of a volcano that collapsed more than 2 million years ago. This is the Ngorongoro Crater, a rare geological and biological sanctuary where nature has built an isolated world. Inside this basin, rising more than 7,500 feet above sea level, every biological cycle continues within closed boundaries: hunting, hiding, birth, death, and renewal without interruption. The Ngorongoro Crater spans about 12 miles across and descends nearly 2,000 feet deep, From above, it appears as a giant bowl covered with grasslands, lakes, forests, and wetlands. The surrounding crater walls rise steeply, creating near-total separation from the outer plains. Wind currents along the rim form their own convection pattern, producing a cooler, wetter, and more stable climate than the nearby Serengeti. These conditions allow thousands of species to live here year-round without seasonal migration. Within an area of roughly 100 square miles, Ngorongoro hosts one of the highest densities of large mammals in Africa, about 25,000 herbivores, and more than 60 predator species share this enclosed ecosystem, forming a near-perfect biological balance. At the center lies Lake Magadi, a shallow alkaline lake with high salinity. During the dry season, evaporation leaves a thin white crust of salt. When the rains return, the surface turns pink, not from the water itself, but from tens of thousands of lesser flamingos. They feed on blue-green algae that thrive in alkaline conditions. Carotenoid pigments in the algae give their feathers the distinct pink color. For breeding, flamingos build nests of dried mud about 12 inches high to keep eggs above heat and water. As the sun rises, the lake mirrors thousands of moving bodies, a vast pink field shifting with the wind, marking the pulse of the crater's life. In the high grasslands, between thick clumps of reeds, a pair of large ears rises above the grass. It belongs to the serval, a medium-sized wildcat specialized in hunting through sound. Its long legs allow it to move above tall grass, while its ears can rotate independently to locate mice, birds, or snakes hidden below. A vertical leap brings its front legs down with precision on the source of the sound. The success rate of this strike can reach 60%, the highest among all wild cats. After a capture, the serval does not eat immediately. It often manipulates the prey for a few seconds, not as play, but as a test of reaction. In a closed environment, where food sources are limited, precision determines survival. The serval's evolution demonstrates how every physical trait in Ngorongoro has been refined by selective pressure to perfection. Ngorongoro is also one of the few places where lions and spotted hyenas coexist at the highest densities in Africa. These two species not only share territory, but also compete for every carcass and every hunt. Lions in this region often have dark manes, a trait linked to cooler climates and higher testosterone levels. The dark mane serves as a biological signal of strength and fertility. Females prefer males with darker manes because their offspring are generally stronger and healthier. Spotted hyenas, in contrast, live in matriarchal societies. Females are larger, stronger, and dominate the clan. They communicate using more than 20 distinct vocalizations, from high-pitched giggles to low growls, each sound carrying information about rank and location. During a confrontation, hyenas may gain advantage through numbers, while lions hold the edge in muscle power. The balance of power shifts constantly. Lions prevail one day, hyenas the next. Neither species dominates permanently. Order is maintained through tension and equilibrium. In an isolated ecosystem like Ngorongoro, energy circulates continuously. When an animal dies, its body becomes food for vultures, hyenas, and countless insects. With the arrival of the rains, decomposition releases nutrients into the soil, feeding new grass, and the cycle begins again. Nothing is wasted. Even death serves a purpose. This closed system makes Ngorongoro a living model of Earth itself. Every food chain is connected, and every imbalance triggers a chain reaction. If one species disappears, another expands, and the system may take years to stabilize again. It is a lesson in limits. Nature does not need humanity to survive, but humanity needs nature to understand itself. As sunset descends into the crater, the last light reflects through a thin veil of dust. Turning the air amber, flamingos leave the lake. servals disappear into the grass, and lions begin their first steps into the hunting night. No sound is wasted, and no movement is random. Every organism here fulfills a role, keeping this enclosed world in motion. Ngorongoro is neither paradise nor inferno. It is the raw truth of survival, where instinct, limitation, and strategy merge to create balance. Within these surrounding walls, every living creature, large or small, understands one simple rule: life here does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the ones that adapt the fastest. As the last clouds of the rainy season fade over the high plains of Tanzania, a vast sea of green grass appears. This is the Serengeti, a word from the Masi language meaning the endless land. From above, it looks like an ocean of earth, rippling with wind and the movement of millions of animals. Here, every year, the planet witnesses one of the greatest biological events: the Great Migration of the Serengeti. From January to March, herds of wildebeest gather, more than 1.5 million animals, joined by 200,000 zebras and 500,000 Thompson's gazelles. During this time, about 500,000 calves are born within just a few weeks. On average, more than 8,000 new lives begin each day. This is a remarkable survival strategy. By giving birth all at once, the herds overwhelm predators, allowing most calves to survive their first critical weeks. Each wildebeest mother recognizes her calf by its call within the first few minutes. If separated, the calf will not survive more than a few hours. In the open plains, the distance between life and death is measured in yards. Grant zebras always lead the migration. They graze on taller grass, leaving shorter, more nutritious blades for the wildebeest that follow. This pattern is not random. It is a form of natural cooperation. Zebras open the path, wildebeest use the best regrowth. And other species benefit from the disturbed soil that promotes new vegetation. Zebras also possess exceptional spatial memory. They can recall wind directions and landscape shapes from the previous year to guide the herds along the rain routes. Their black and white stripes help regulate body temperature and disrupt predator vision. Making it difficult for lions or hyenas to focus on a single target within a moving crowd. This great migration follows the cycle of water and minerals. When rains end in the south and the soil dries, the herds begin moving west through the Ngorongoro region. Then, gradually north toward the Mara in Kenya. The route covers more than 500 miles, repeating every year in an unending loop. Each wildebeest walks nearly 2,000 miles in total each year. Traveling about 25 miles per day. The pace is steady, not fast, but constant weaker animals fall behind and become prey for hyenas, lions, or leopards. Migration is not only a search for food, it is the mechanism that renews the ecosystem. Every step tills the ground, and every dropping returns nutrients to the soil for the next generation of grass. By May, the herds reach Ngorongoro, where the river winds like a brown steel ribbon through the plains. As the water recedes, shallow pools form, hiding hundreds of Nile crocodiles. They have remained motionless through the dry months, waiting for this moment. When the first wildebeest enter the river, the calm surface explodes. Crocodiles strike, with jaws delivering more than 2,000 pounds per square inch of force, enough to crush bone. Some animals are pulled under, but the herds keep moving forward. They do not stop out of fear. Stopping means death. With every loss, the ecosystem is replenished. The flesh of the wildebeest feeds crocodiles. The dead crocodiles feed vultures. And the waste fertilizes new growth for countless smaller species. Nothing is wasted in the cycle of the Serengeti. By July, the herds reach the Mara River, the greatest barrier of the migration. Unlike the shallow grumeti, the Mara is deep, fast, and dangerous. Steep cliffs rise on both sides, and beneath the surface wait crocodiles weighing more than 1,700 pounds. Before crossing, the herds hesitate for hours, sometimes for days. No animal wants to be the first. Then suddenly, one female leaps into the river, and the entire herd follows. The instinct of the group outweighs individual fear. Thousands of dark bodies surge through the churning water as waves explode in white foam. Some are swept away, others trampled, but most keep swimming, driven by survival coded deep in their DNA. Each year, between 6,000 and 8,000 animals die during these crossings, a cost paid for the chance to reach the green lands of the north. Their deaths enrich the river. Decomposing bodies release vast nutrients that feed fish, aquatic plants, and microorganisms, sustaining the flow of life for the entire ecosystem. Even tragedy here fuels renewal. Today, the Serengeti is one of the largest protected ecosystems on Earth, covering more than 11,000 square miles. Yet its natural migration routes are under threat from fences, highways, and expanding agriculture. Nearly 70% of traditional migration corridors have already narrowed. If these pathways are severed, the herds will lose access to dry season water sources, leading to ecological collapse. At the same time, Maasai communities, the region's indigenous inhabitants, are being integrated into ecotourism programs. Turning conservation benefits into sustainable livelihoods. This model of co-managed wilderness has reduced human-wildlife conflict and increased funding for conservation. The Serengeti is where life does not simply exist, it moves. Every creature, every breath, and every step is part of a story. That has continued for millions of years. It is the story of strategy, adaptation, and the perpetual cycle of life. From the oceans where life began to the grasslands of the Serengeti, all stories lead to a single rule: only those that adapt will survive. Nature does not choose the strongest, it chooses the fastest to change. Lions cannot exist without antelopes. Antelopes cannot survive without grass. Grass regrows only through the decay of what has fallen before. All life is bound within this balance, where death does not end life, but opens the path for renewal. Humans are part of this chain as well. Since emerging from Olduvai Gorge, we have lived alongside nature. But in a few short centuries, the pace of change created by humans has exceeded the planet's ability to adapt. Our challenge is no longer survival, but whether we can learn again to live within nature's limits. As night falls over the plains and wind moves across the water, the earth continues to breathe. No species stands at the center. There is only the cycle of adaptation where life transforms, endures, and begins again forever.